Explore Your Spirit with Kala. Journey with Kala as she speaks with researchers, artists, teachers, and healers, delving into topics of ancient mysteries, metaphysical explorations, and new discoveries from science and spiritual arenas. Explore Your Spirit with Kala can be found online at exploreyourspirit.com. Visit the website for more podcasts, articles, metaphysical news, and upcoming events.
Dan Millman is a former world champion athlete, university coach, martial arts instructor, and college professor. His 12 books, including Way of the Peaceful Warrior, The Life You Were Born to Live, No Ordinary Moments, The Laws of Spirit, and The Journeys of Socrates, have inspired millions of readers in 29 languages. The feature film, Peaceful Warrior, starring Nick Nolte, is based upon Dan's first book, an autobiographical novel. Dan Millman lectures worldwide, presenting practical ways to live with a peaceful heart and a warrior spirit. His books and seminars have influenced leaders in the fields of health, psychology, education, business, sports, and the arts. Married for 30 years, he has 3 grown daughters and 2 grandsons. For more information about Dan Millman's work, including the movie and his new multimedia ebook, visit peacefulwarrior.com or danmillman.com. Welcome to Explore Your Spirit with Kala. On today's show, we're here with a peaceful warrior. That's right, Dan Millman. Welcome, Dan, to the show.
Thank you, Kayla.
It's wonderful to have you here today.
Yeah, good to be here.
I'd like to start about your movie that's been out recently, Way of the Peaceful Warrior, and I was wondering if you were pleased with it.
Yes, I presume some of your listeners haven't heard of my book, Way of the Peaceful Warrior, or the movie. But yes, I wrote a book in 1980 entitled Way of the Peaceful Warrior, in which I described my meeting with, and by the way, it is a factual meeting I really had with a real old man. About 3 in the morning, I was walking home from a late-night date, and I wandered in this old Texaco station on the corner of campus in Berkeley, and met this rather extraordinary old man. Now, and anyway, he wouldn't tell me his real name, but he reminded me of the ancient Greek, so I started calling him Socrates. And that book details kind of a coming of age in the New Age, if you will, how I transformed and expanded my perspectives under his tutelage and guidance. And of course, the literature in film is replete with many stories of students, often stumbling students and mentors. Arthur had Merlin, back in the Camelot days, and Carlos Castaneda had the Brujo Don Juan. The Karate Kid had Mr. Miyagi, and of course Frodo had Gandalf. So there are many stories of students and mentors, and mine took place in the city in Berkeley, California. And through that adventure, I share with people many, a reminder of life's bigger picture and higher promise. And so I just wanted to say that as a review for people who know my work and as an introduction to those who don't. And the movie, it took 25 years for the movie to finally happen. Now seems like the right time. And I thought they did a very nice job with the film. It only covers the first 2/3 of the book, and yet it conveys many valuable core lessons in quite an entertaining package. And there have been, many people know there have been a number of films dealing with spiritual themes, especially lately, and there will be more. But I think Peaceful Warrior sets the bar in terms of real movie quality, well-made film that anybody could enjoy.
I agree, and I thought they did a good job with it as well. It's always hard to take a book and how much you have in there and put it on into 2 hours of a movie.
Oh, yeah. In fact, many authors get grumpy about seeing their books adapted because all their precious words weren't put in there and so on. But anybody who understands the adaptation process knows it's like turning a painting into a sculpture or a cabinet. You have to make some changes. So I went in realistic. And I need to just to clarify that I'm not one of the producers. I'm not financially connected to the film. I was paid for the film rights. That's what authors get. Someone buys the rights to make the film about 15 years ago. So it took a long time to happen. But I'm simply supportive of the film because I think it's going to do some good. It's a way to reach out to people who might not even see the book.
Absolutely. For those that aren't familiar with the book, as you say, you were a world-class gymnast at the time and
Yes.
suffered an injury with your leg that affected you, which led you in part to going to the station and meeting Socrates.
Well, that injury was depicted quite realistically in the film. There are elements in the film that, also reflected my life and what happened in the book. And yes, I did shatter my leg, and it really changed my life in a way. It wasn't much fun, but it did open me up, as we all know intuitively, that adversity can develop inner resources. It did well stimulate me to ask some bigger questions about life.
What does that feel like to compete at that level, first of all, that you were at, and then to have an injury and then come back from it like you did, and the incredible journey there of body, mind, and spirit? Can you describe that?
I was a world champion on the trampoline and international level gymnastics competitor. I was going up to Berkeley for my senior year, and I was on a motorcycle, and my leg did get, my right femur, my thigh bone got broken in many, many pieces. And so it was a hard climb coming back. It developed many resources of patience and determination and so on. And eventually I was able to recover to the point where I rejoined the team, and we ended up winning the national championships. As depicted in the book, it was a little bit different in the movie. But, I don't know. For me, it wasn't so much that I was, like many of today's young athletes, very sophisticated. They have agents and so on. I just liked to do trampoline. I loved it, and I kept jumping and getting better, and I never believed I'd be a world champion. I never believed I wouldn't. I just said, let's see what happens, and I just trained, and that was my approach pretty much to everything. It wasn't so strategic. It was just in the moment and seeing what happens. And my life was informed, certainly, my perspectives expanded through my interactions with Socrates, as described in the book, and depicted pretty well in the movie as well.
How long did you actually study with Socrates?
Well, actually didn't spend as much time as indicated in the book or the movie. It's a bit of a mysterious thing, but I don't really go into specifics about time. There are times, it's said in the spiritual traditions, just a glimpse at, say, an enlightened personage can convey immense information at the subconscious level that we know that sprouts later, that we don't even know. Just seeds are planted. So it's not always the amount of time we spend with someone. It's sort of the quality, intensity, what's transmitted. And one way I could describe that is there's a story about a wanderer who came upon the Buddha many, many years ago. And the wanderer stared at the Buddha. He didn't know who he was, but he walked around him. And he, with this puzzled look on his face, and he finally said to the Buddha, "Are you a wizard?" The Buddha said, "No." And then he looked at him some more and said, "Are you a magician or a king?" And the Buddha said, "No." He said, "Well, are you some kind of warrior?" And the Buddha said, "No." He said, "But there's something about you. What is it that makes you different from anyone I've ever met?" And the Buddha turned to him and smiled and said, "I'm awake." And I guess that's what struck me about that old man.
Yes, it can happen in a blink of an eye if you're ready. That's all it takes. It's definitely the quality, not the quantity.
But the readiness is the key.
Yes.
That's the tricky part.
It's always the journey.
Yeah.
When you had all these experiences, were you always a writer, or when did you know you were ready to write a book about your experience?